Dog Pound Radio was recorded in studio in the confines of the rolling hills, corn, and fields of Iowa. You can find Dog Pound Radio on Spotify, YouTube, Spreaker, CastBox, and iHeartRadio. Follow us on Twitter at CCA or on Facebook. Join the hosts Coach Banks and Doherty as they discuss the hot topics in sports today. Let's get ready to rumble.
Want to make a difference in the lives of others? Consider donating to Coaching Culture in Athletics as we strive to make a difference in our community. We are working on raising money for a tombstone for a Vietnam veteran. If you would like to donate, you can on PayPal, coachingcultureandathletics@gmail.com, or via Venmo at Chuck Banks too.
Tonight's broadcast is sponsored by the Coaching Culture in Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. We strive to make a difference in the world one soul at a time. Be sure to check out our shows on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, CastBox, and many other platforms. Want to be a sponsor? Contact us at coachingcultureandathletics@gmail.com. Be sure to be on the lookout for the upcoming book, Life of an Overthinker, and all of Charles Banks' books on Amazon. Sad fact in today's age that most people only have assumptions on the outside shell and don't take the time to get to know the inside of the soul. Assumptions and quick judgment often lead to distress and unrest in society as a whole. As an overthinker, it hits the soul a little harder overall. Questioning virtually every aspect in our lives, contemplating decisions, and never really understanding where we fit in the equation leads many of us to crisis levels of anxiety. Now back to the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? Tonight we have Kade and Bronson from mid2west. And, you know, I think it's going to be a twister of a show, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so you know, you guys, I know, Kade, you've been chasing these storms around for a couple years. I can remember when the wife and I and the family were going to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and you guys were kind of following us all the way down into Tennessee and stuff. I remember one night. I don't think you were quite just a year maybe at a high school. I mean, what made you start chasing these thunder boomers?
I don't know. I think it all started. I remember being probably 4 or 5 when I first watched the movie Twister, and that kind of triggered something in me. I fell in love with tornadoes and storms like that. So since then, I've always, growing up, when there was a storm, I was out looking out the window, trying to get on the front porch and, just run around and look at those. And then, so as soon as I got my license, it was, boom, I was off. And I started chasing as soon as I was legally able to.
Oh. Now, Bronson, what brought you, into this storm? I know you're a little crazy like me and Kade, but, I mean, what brought you into this?
Well, it's kind of roughly the same thing as Kade. When I was a kid, my mom always used to talk about when I was a kid. I memorized, actually, the entire movie of Twister. So, yeah, that movie really kind of sparked, and I'm pretty sure that's the same for a lot of storm chasers. That movie kind of sparks a love for storms. And I don't know, me and Kade, we've always hung around together. And one day we were just like, hey, why don't we go give a shot at this storm chasing deal? So we did, and that rest has been, the past few years. So.
Now, Kade, what's the grandparents think of this? I know they're super proud of you, but I mean, let's face it, man. You're chasing some bad weather.
Yeah, they get pretty worried when I go out. Just a couple weeks ago, March 31st, I was giving a presentation to the Central High School, the Earth Science class, I think it was, and my grandma's an associate in that class, and I right after I was done giving my presentation, I had to leave and get set up in a position. And she gave me a hug, and she kind of teared up a little bit and told me to be safe. But yeah, they get pretty worried when I go out.
Well, I mean, it is pretty scary. I won't lie to you. There was a TikTok that I did I think last year, And I know Ethan Bergman, he was kind of laughing about it because I said, what am I doing? You know, but I'm kind of like all these Midwesterners. I mean, I love to see it, but I don't like to get too close. Now, that picture that I had up there at the beginning, who was that guy? I mean, he was a role model of yours, obviously.
Yeah, that was Reed Timmer. He has a PhD in meteorology. He's been storm chasing since the late 1990s. He's had shows on the Weather Channel, on the Discovery Channel. He was in Storm Chasers. That went on for a few seasons, and then he headlined his own show, Tornado Chasers. And then after that ended, he started his own YouTube and just a whole bunch of social medias. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers. He was someone I looked up to at a young age. I remember watching his shows at my grandparents' house, and then the past few storms we'd actually been on the same storms as he was, and then finally March 31st, we ended up right behind him. He was in the car right in front of us, and he stopped and we talked to him for a little bit, and he's a super cool guy. He turned around and told us to just follow him and assess some tornado damage, and we got to talk to him and take some pictures. And yeah, he's just a super cool guy.
Did you spend more time in the Illinois and Mount Pleasant area, or did you end up getting over there like over by Ottumwa and where they were hit? On that day we had originally I went up to Olds and met Bronson and picked him up there. We originally targeted the Iowa setup, but we were kind of drawn to an early storm that formed over in Kansas, made its way across Missouri. So we headed down south, got on that storm around Hannibal, and we crossed over the river into Illinois, and we chased that for probably 2 or 3 hours. Man, it definitely takes a lot of patience and things like that. Anytime that you're doing that, I'm tweeting this out so Twitter, the Twitterverse knows what we're doing. Maybe a few people will chime in there. But hey, if you're listening out there, you're listening to Dog Pound Radio. This used to be Coaching Culture and Athletics. I've totally revamped it. Coach Doherty and I. We decided to create this multiverse platform, and believe it or not, I'll probably be trying to talk Kade and Bronson into doing a podcast on this network. But anyway, I won't let the cat out of the bag too early. Okay, I just went whoops, but I know you guys love talking about this stuff, and we'll get into some pictures here in a little bit. Now, did you ever feel like threatened on the March 31st storm, or did you feel pretty confident?
That one, yeah.
Well, the difference between for instance, the March 31st day was exceptionally hard for chasing, and all that whole weekend was, even the storm system that followed the next Tuesday. They were moving. They were very fast moving storms, so they can be really unpredictable at sometimes. So you got to always keep your head on a swivel and keep your eye out on radar and stuff. But we were tracking the storm, like Kade said, for a long time, and we just found ourselves right in the middle of it at one point. But we got out of the bad stuff, the hail and rain and bad winds and stuff. So yeah, it's always dangerous, and you always got to keep your eye out.
Now, I've always been told, and my dad gave me this reference a few times when I would go out. He was in law enforcement for a long, long time in Appanoose County. That if the tornado appears that it's not moving, it's coming to get you, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So have you ever taken a beeline right or left into a ditch away from one of these buggers yet?
No, we haven't had to do that yet. We've had a couple close calls where we probably got a little closer than we really want to. But most of these tornadoes, most of the tornadoes you see like pictures of, those are the rarity. Those aren't normal. Most tornadoes are going to be wrapped in rain. They're going to be really messy. And so that's when you run into problems because you just can't see where it's at. And there's been several instances where we've gotten into some thick and heavy rain and just hit like right on the outskirts of that tornadic wind field. March 31st, actually, we got some tornadic wind field that we were right on the outskirts of it before we got out, but it was pretty gnarly stuff.
Well, and then I also heard, for one of the first times in a long time, we had twins. Did you happen to experience that storm?
No, that was I believe Kyoto.
Yeah, that
was Kyoto. No, we unfortunately didn't catch up to that one. That's right around where we originally planned to set up, but we raced down too fast. We bit on the first storm that popped up, and we weren't able to get up to see that one.
Was that the one that was down in like Keokuk? Was kind of rolling through Wayland and kind of up and went just south of Keokuk.
The storm that we were chasing, yeah, that one was April 2nd. That one was headed right for Keokuk, and I posted on my personal Facebook. I tried to give people some extra warning because I was following it on radar. It was just headed on a direct path, and it was a pretty strong looking storm. But fortunately, it hit that warm front moving, and it just kind of raced east and just barely missed Keokuk. And we got out into Macomb, and we got out in front of it and went a little bit southeast of Macomb, and we caught our tornado there.
Ooh. Now, how big was it? Well,
that one was an EF3 tornado, so it's anywhere. Most of your tornadoes are going to be EF0 or EF1s. They're going to be fairly quick and short-lived, and around 85 to 100 miles per hour winds. But once you start getting into that EF3 territory, that's when tornadoes really. That's where you see most of your damage, the stuff that makes the news. It's going to be EF3 or greater.
And let's face it, Illinois doesn't see EF3s very often.
No. Usually those big tornadoes are going to be more in the plains area or the south. Right now, we're kind of transitioning from the Dixie Alley into the traditional tornado alley. Anywhere from early March to mid-April, you're going to see a lot more storms happen in the south around Georgia and Mississippi and Louisiana. And then kind of mid-April into late May, that's when Tornado Alley is really activated. You're going to see a lot more storms in the central southern plains and even up here in the Midwest.
Bronson, does he make you drive your car because of insurance purposes and hail? Or no, Cade's the driver. Cade's always going to be the driver. I don't really fare well under pressure situations while driving. That's where he steps in. I'm more the directions guy.
Oh, man, I've seen you knock down some good three-point shots and stuff. I figured you'd be good under pressure.
Well, driving's a whole different thing. I'm more of a passenger guy.
Did you sustain any hail damage on the last two storms?
We had a couple dents in the roof of my car, but we lucked out. We really lucked out. The storm on April 2nd, it was golf ball size hail for about 5 seconds for us. We only got hit by a couple, but fortunately, that's honestly what I'm most scared of. It's the hail. I don't want any hail damage to my car or anything like that.
Oh, man, I can remember driving through Colorado when I went down and worked on my PhD work, and we just barely got into Colorado, and all we hear, it sounds like Armageddon, and my family's freaking out, and there's dents all over, the escape from that, but, man, cars in front of me and back of me, I barely get underneath the underpass. Cars and like windshields shattered and stuff like that. I know in the 31st storm, Centerville got hit pretty hard, with hail damage and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen like a barn or anything up in the air, or a cow like Twister yet?
No, nothing like that. We on the March 31st storm, though, we like I said, we were right behind Reed Timmer in that storm, and we were trying to catch up to these storms. They were going around 70 miles per hour, so it was hard to keep up with them. But we finally got caught up to it, and we got stopped at a red light, a couple red lights right outside of the town of Sherman, Illinois. And after those red lights, we raced into town, us right behind Reed. And all of a sudden, it was you could just see debris and stuff everywhere. There was cars all over the underpass and stuff. And we realized that just like 15, 20 seconds before we got there, there had been a pretty substantial tornado that went right through. So that red light actually probably did us a favor. We weren't able to see a tornado, but the odds are that we would have actually been inside the tornado.
Man, that's super scary. Now, what type of technology, or what type of how do you to go out and kind of game plan on these storms and things like that? What do you utilize, and what do you utilize in the field at this point? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Sorry. What was that?
Oh, I'm sorry about that. But must be having interweb issues. Like what kind of tools do you utilize, Kade? And like technology wise, or whether it's a website or anything like that that helps you game plan for these storms.
It like a week every single day, pretty much. I'm checking the Storm Prediction Center. It's ran by the NOAA. It's the best minds in all of meteorology. They work for the Storm Prediction Center, and they have outlooks for the next 7 days or so. So the first thing I'm doing is every day I'm checking those. They issue risk categories. There's 0 through 5. So if you have kind of a 3 out of 5 risk day, then that's going to grab my attention. Then I head over to the College of DuPage Weather Lab. They got a really awesome website that I love to use. It's got long range, medium range, and short range models. And there's just a ton of different numerical data that I like to go through. You have to meet the criteria. There's really 4 ingredients to thunderstorms, and if all 4 of those ingredients are showing up in all of those models, then that's when we start narrowing down. And then the day of, I'm looking at the HRRR model, and that's going to show you 24 hours out. I use that a lot, especially in the mornings of my storm chases. I'll be looking at that. And it's got a program that runs radar simulations. So it's going to try to predict where these storms are popping up and where they're going to reach peak intensity. So I look at that a lot during the mornings. And then when storms initiate, then pretty much the only thing that we're using is our radar. I have a nice subscribed radar app I use on my phone. We use maps. Bronson's my map guy. We've got a pretty good system worked out there where I'm using radar, and I'm tracking these storms where they're headed, and then where I think we have a chance to intercept. I pick a town out in that path, and Bronson plugs it in, and he's my directions guy. So it's a pretty good system we got worked out.
Well, and then when we're out there, radar will only show you so much. So the biggest tool that we use is our eyes. Mm-hmm. Our eyes are our biggest tool probably that we use as far as, predicting, where because you can see some of these storms from so far out, and even when you're in the mix of things, like your eyesight is your biggest tool.
What, what's the difference between like a tornado and a derecho?
So a tornado is formed. A tornado comes from what we call a supercell. It's usually a discrete thunderstorm It's not your traditional like widespread rain. It's a smaller cell, but these cells they need to be discrete. They usually don't have cells around them because they just require so much energy. That's where 99% of your severe weather is going to come from. Your hail and stuff. It's going to come from supercells. A derecho, on the other hand, it's a line of thunderstorms. It's a big group. They've all grouped together. They form a line, and they straight line winds. All these winds aloft in the atmosphere. They're going the same exact way, so it's pushing that storm. It's forming what we call a bow echo. When you go on radar, it kind of just looks like a bow and arrow. And then the rain falls. That cool air from the rain falls down, and it pushes all that warm air at the surface level. It pushes that out. So that's how you get those straight line winds. If you have a line of thunderstorms that merge together, that's when derechos can occur, and those are pretty rare actually. They're kind of more of a Midwestern thing. Iowa sees a lot more derechos than most other states, but they've been a little more common here in recent years.
Yeah, and would you call that global warming, or do you just call that the weather?
I think it would be. It's way too early to tell if that would be considered global warming, because the weather itself, these tornadoes. Sometimes you'll have a year that will just go absolutely bonkers. You'll have a year like 2011, where we just saw an insane amount of tornadoes. There was, I think, over like 2,000 tornadoes that year. But then you'll have a year like 2020 where there was over half less than that. So I couldn't say definitively global warming or not.
Al Gore said we'd be underwater right now. So I mean, I think we're good. So.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but what it does have, tornado activity does have a lot to do with is the warm currents over the Pacific Ocean. You get your La Nina and your El Nino years. Wind patterns, and that has a lot more effect to it than really anything else.
Well, and that outbreak on the 31st, like he said, there are certain years where it's just prime for tornadoes. Like for instance, 2011, and this year is already off to a pretty big start for tornadoes because that 31st outbreak it's in the top 5 now.
It was third. Yeah, it was the third largest ever tornado outbreak in the United States.
Yeah, 119 something tornadoes confirmed in one day.
And it appears like these tornadoes are getting a lot more violent. In comparison. I mean, like in the last few years, I know one hit Marshalltown that was pretty destructive a couple years back, and we hear about those, but and then there was one up north. I can't think of the name of the town. It's where I think where Coach Ed Thomas. Remember where he coached football?
There was Parkersburg.
Yeah. Was that in 2011?
I think it
was
because
or 2013. One of the two.
Yeah, that was an EF5 tornado, and we haven't had an EF5 tornado since 2013. And I think what we're seeing now, a lot more of these violent tornadoes. I think that honestly has more to do with social media, and to be honest, the rise of storm chasers. It's becoming a more popular thing with the rise of social media, and they're making a new Twister. They're releasing it in 2024, Twister 2, and I think once that comes out, I think we're going to see a large spike in storm chasers and tornado coverage.
Well, and that's like what you were just saying. People with the rating system. Mm-hmm. We haven't had an F5 like you said in 10 years. So there's been like kind of a lot of speculation of, when the
think they locked up on me. Oh, well, I think we both locked up. That's weird.
Yeah, I think we did too.
You guys good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. If you were listening, we just had a computer glitch. I'm going to guess that it's the Russians, but that's my opinion. Now, Bronson, you were talking about these F5s and things like that. Now, I remember a storm chaser down in Oklahoma City where they took his he got killed in this.
Tim Samaras.
What's that?
I think his name is Tim Samaras.
Okay, that guy, and the vehicle that he was driving was like armored, right?
He was actually in a I want to say it was a Camry. Yeah, he unfortunately that day was not in a vehicle suitable for that. But that was the El Reno tornado of 2013.
The biggest tornado ever.
The biggest tornado ever. It was 2.5 miles wide, and it had wind speeds of over 300 miles per hour. It's actually the strongest winds ever recorded on Earth, paired up with the widest tornado ever recorded at 2.5 miles. And that day, 4 storm chasers died. It was the first time storm chasers had ever been killed by a tornado. And what had happened was, besides the fact of it was 2.5 miles wide, it was just absolutely massive. These storms usually travel in a northwestern or northeastern direction. That's a general rule of thumb. They're going to move northeast, so you want to, if you want a good view, you're going to have to sit southeast of the tornado. That day, however, the tornado started and it dipped down and it went immediately south and then kind of curled around in a hook before heading up to a northeastern direction. But that caught Tim Samaras and his team in a pickle, along with dozens of others. But unfortunately, Tim and his team, they weren't able to make it out of the path in time.
Definitely doesn't make the grandparents feel any better. I'm just going to throw that out there.
No.
And I'm sorry I even brought that up, folks, but it is a pretty serious deal. Now, what type of training have you guys done, to kind of help you with this? I mean, did you start out doing like a storm spotting class, or did you just kind of dive in?
Yeah, we actually both of us took a storm spotting class and got certified by the mid2west to storm spot, and that semester actually. I was able to take a whole semester and do an independent study. So I chose weather and specifically severe weather for that study. So for a whole semester, I was just learning everything I could about storms and storm chasing. And then both of us have also watched probably hundreds of hours of YouTube and stuff. They've got a lot of great resources to help people get started in storm chasing. Skip Talbot, he comes to mind. He does a great job. He does seminars all over the country and stuff at mid2west events, and he's been a great guide. But the biggest thing that I think we've done is just getting out there. Every storm, we learn something different. We learn new tactics and stuff. And especially the past 3 or 4 storms, I'd say we've really started honing in our skills, and we're putting ourselves in a lot better position than when we first started out.
Where would someone go and get certified and like go to these storm spotter classes? Is this a county deal or a state deal?
We did ours in Donaldson, didn't we?
Yeah, we did ours in Donaldson. Our National Weather Service office for our area is the Quad Cities mid2west. They go around every spring and do classes all around in their covered area. Like Bronson just said, we did ours in Donaldson. I can't remember if they had one in Donaldson this year or not, but they also do some online seminars too. So if someone was interested in that, you'd have to go to their the NWS Quad Cities Facebook page and find out more about their times and schedules there.
What would be the odds of you bringing Coach Banks alive? And he would go live, on this broadcast, storm chasing sometime. I mean, what are the odds?
Anytime. The next time we have a storm system close to here, we could get in contact with you. You definitely be able to come with us. We'd probably stick you in the back seat with a camera.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Well, we have to ask the listeners out there, you have to give us a thumbs up for that, or at least a comment if you want to see Coach Banks cry like a little girl, So tomorrow there's a chance for severe weather. Do you think is it going to be as much as an April 2nd or March 31st, or is this going to be a little bit weaker system?
It's definitely going to be a weaker system. I should backtrack. It doesn't have the it doesn't have the widespread potential that these past two storms systems that have gone through on March 31st and April 2nd. Those are pretty rare. The March 31st was a 5 out of 5 on the risk category.
Okay.
That is incredibly rare. And then to have April 2nd, which was a 4 out of 5, and to have those two systems, pretty much back to back. I don't think anything like that has happened around here in at least a few decades.
Well, and those people at the Storm Prediction Center, they've done a pretty good job, especially recently. Those type of weather events, for instance, like the 31st, or like a big weather event, they pretty much try to, with the rating system, like a 5 out of 5 risk. You pretty much will know about it ahead of time if you're in like a potential threat for some real dangerous severe weather.
Yeah, and I'll be checking my models in the morning. The day of the event, 10 times more than you put together the past, 3 or 4 days that you're looking at an event. The day of tells you a lot. But right now, I think if we were to get a storm anywhere near our area, the biggest threat would probably be hail. But I'll be looking tomorrow and finding out more then.
Now, what kind of discretion do you give to because this was the first time in my entire teaching career that schools let out. You know what I'm saying? For this particular storm, and it was like the younger generation, they were like, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I mean, what kind of a discretion or seriousness do you tell these folks, guys?
Like I said, I mentioned this in every class that I presented in. I tell them it's kind of a running joke here, especially in the mid2west, that if the tornado sirens go off, then you go on your front porch and look up at the sky. But the reality is that all it takes is one. There have been over 100 tornado-related deaths this year. We're on track to be one of the most deadly years in all of tornado history this year. So all it takes is one tornado to come through, and especially like the systems that came through on the 31st and 2nd. Those were very fast-moving storms. Those were very fast-moving systems. Some of those storms are going 70, 80 miles an hour. So by the time that the tornado sirens get going, you don't have time to go on your front porch and look around. You only have time to get shelter and get in a safe spot because we've gotten a lot of experience, so we know how to stay safe in the face of these storms. But when you're sitting at home, you're just a sitting duck. So they can all it takes is one. We've got very lucky the past couple of weeks, and I think Southeast Iowa's luck is going to run out here some point in our lifetime. I think we're going to see a pretty significant event go through.
Well, and the part of the thing that draws people to storm chase and tornadoes is that, these things, they might be real pretty to look at, and they might be, breathtaking or jaw-dropping, type of things. But in reality, they're unpredictable. Like, we still haven't had an accurate prediction for how tornadoes move, how they grow. They're nothing to joke around with, obviously. So whenever you're in a potential threat, like we were the 31st, you always want to keep your head. You always want to keep your head on a swivel, pay attention to your radar, and have a plan. That's the main thing: is always have a plan of what to do during a severe weather event.
100%. You're listening to Dog Pound Radio. I have Kade and Bronson from mid2west Outdoors. Now, we haven't brought that up yet because this is a new venture, and you're also looking for sponsors. So, I always want to make sure that we talk about that. And when we get done tonight, guys, just shoot me your links and information, and I'll make sure that they hit all of our facets, whether it's iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that sort of stuff. So let's talk about mid2west Outdoors, man. I'm a little disappointed you haven't followed me on TikTok yet, but that's okay because you can't follow everybody, dang it. So, but antlers. What made you come up with this? I mean, Kade, it appears. I mean, are both of you guys going to be history teachers and coaches too? Okay, so all of us history teachers and coaches, guys, we're schemers and stuff like that. But these guys have the ability here to create something and foster something huge, especially at your ages, creating something like this. And I think it's pretty special, and you're putting together a pretty good group. But what is mid2west Outdoors?
Basically, when we first started storm chasing was back in 2018. We created the page. Caleb Sanders went with us a couple of the first storm chases we went. So we started KBK Storm Chasing, and we storm chased through that for a little while, and then we kind of morphed and did a couple other things. But I remember going out hunting one morning during whitetail season. I think it was 2021, fall of 2021. I started thinking about it, and I wanted to do something with outdoors, and I just thought if I could bring together a page with outdoor content like hunting and fishing and stuff like that, if you could pair that up with something like storm chasing, no one does that. There are storm chasers, there's storm chasing pages, and then there's hunters and hunting pages and stuff like that, but no one's ever kind of merged those together. So I thought about it, and then I started asking around, and all of my friends have been super supportive. I made some T-shirts, and they all bought some. They've been awesome. And then this year we put together a pretty good team. I think we've got some turkey hunters, we've got some fishers. Obviously, our storm chasing team. We've got a whitetail team. And last year we did a whitetail whacker event where it was a whitetail buck competition. We got 10 hunters that competed in that. That was super fun. We're really proud with how that turned out. And this year we're partnering with F6 Outdoors, an awesome bow shop ran by Jamie Fuller. Right outside Montrose. We're partnering with them to bring the 2023 whitetail whacker, so we're super excited about that. We've also got a turkey event going on with Luke Simmons and Simmons Gun and Repair. So we're super happy about that. But on the storm chasing side, we want to be able to live stream these. We want to be able to be kind of a warning system for people in the path of these storms. Storm chasers are some of the most reliable sources when it comes to tornado warnings and stuff like that. So we want to be able to do that. but it's pretty expensive, as you can imagine, with gas prices. The 2 storm chases we were on this year, both of those were over 500 miles driven. So it's expensive. So we kind of came up with the idea to get some sponsors together and help us fund storm chases. If we could get a couple of those together, we plan on taking a trip or 2 down to around Oklahoma and Kansas on a good day. So that's kind of where we're at now with mid2west.
Man, 500 miles is, I mean, that's a jaunt, man.
Yeah, it is. And those are just storm chases to Illinois. We've also been to Tennessee. And
I know, man. I saw you on that 19 and a half hour trip I was driving, and you were staying pretty close,
Yeah.
We were in the car for 23 hours straight or something like that.
We woke up early in the morning, around 3 in the morning, and headed down, set up in Tennessee, chased all day, and I tried to make it back home, but I was pretty tired at the wheel, and Bronson looked over at me, and I had my chin resting up on the steering wheel. He's like, "Are you all right?" And I said, "I don't think so." We stopped. So we found a rest stop, and we stayed there for the night.
Now was this was your senior year in high school, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I was like, where are these guys going? And folks, I do follow my all time favorites on Snapchat, so I can kind of see where they're at. I have to. Mm-hmm. It is what it is, and that's it's crazy, but I ghost hunt. So what's crazier than that, right?
yeah, that's true.
Now you don't have a mid2west paranormal group yet, so we may have to.
That should be our next venture. That should be our next branch of mid2west.
Dude, I would join you in a heartbeat. But in all seriousness, what is your goals, Kade Bronson, whether it's mid2west or whether it is this storm chasing? I mean, where do you see yourself, 12 months from now or 5 years from now? Obviously, you want to be teaching history and making these young kids fall asleep like I do. But what's your goal with this organization? Do you want to be a millionaire? Come on, man, think big.
Yeah, honestly, if this were to take off, then storm chasing would be something that I would love to do professionally. Right now, it's just a hobby, but we're trying to do it while we can while we're still going to school and stuff, and have the free time to be able to do that. Obviously, right now, both of us, our plans are to be teachers and coaches, but if we were able to make this work within the next 4 or 5 years, it would be awesome to be able to do something like this and do hunt and storm chase. But my goals right now though are to get through college and to be able to get hired on somewhere and coach and stuff. That's where I'm headed now.
Well, and you get your summers, you get some of your summer off too, guys. I mean, let's face it, right?
Yeah.
What were you saying, Bronson?
Oh, I was just saying, like a big part of it for me, I feel like, especially with my generation or our generation being kids, nature really, people are getting way less connected with nature than they have in the past. So, I mean, that's pretty important to me too, that, we stay connected with, our earth and, fishing, hunting, storm chasing, whatever it is. It's always good to get out there and do any of that stuff whenever you can. So, we like to bring the platform for those types of things, especially for our area. The piggyback off that's one of the main ideas behind forming this group. We want to bring more attention to what we have right now, the outdoors. We have some beautiful places here, especially in southeast Iowa and among all of the Midwest. We want to bring attention to that and be able to help preserve what we have now, so we could pass down this beautiful land to future generations. Because we're pretty lucky to live where we are.
lot of people think it's pretty boring around here, but I think you just got to get into the right stuff, and this is one of the best places on earth to live.
Best places to fish locally within the tri-state.
We have a couple private ponds we like to fish too, so the landowners probably wouldn't like us shouting out exactly where those are, but the Mississippi, it's always great. We're pretty fortunate to live, anywhere here in southeast Iowa. You could be about 15, 30 minutes away from the Mississippi, so that's a great resource for fishing. We like going out to Indian Lake out near Farmington a whole bunch. There's lots of private ponds. There's lots of cool lakes. There's ponds around Shimmick and stuff like that. But the Mississippi's awesome. So we just live in a great spot.
All right, biggest question, Bronson. Have you ever seen Bigfoot in Shimmick?
No, I have not seen Bigfoot.
Okay. Dang it.
Shimmick. I have not.
Dang it.
But one of my friends swears up and down that they saw a bear around Farmington. So
you could see black bear up here, right?
I didn't know that because I heard that and I was like, "There's no way." So I looked it up, and sure enough, we are in bear range. Technically.
Ryan Johnson, GPS locations, please. All right, there we go. Oh my goodness. Well, we're getting ready to kind of wind down our first show, guys. But I plan on having you back. If you'll join me. I think it's amazing. As your old teacher and coach, man, I couldn't be prouder of what you two are doing. I mean, not only have you jumped in and taken a chance, but you guys are going out there and you're saving lives. And you're kicking names and taking butt, right? I mean, this is awesome. So I'm a huge fan. Make sure that you stay on, shortly, for just a few minutes after we end tonight's broadcast, guys. But let's give shout outs, last words. How do they follow you guys? And is there an email address, Kade, where potential donors or sponsors can do that for you?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. We're on all of those under mid2west Outdoors. You got that banner going there on the bottom of the screen. You could search that up anywhere, and we'll pop up there. And for sponsors to get in contact, you could reach me through my Facebook, Kade Myhre. You can message me there, or my email is kademyhre@icloud.com. We're going to be putting together a presentation here soon. I went through all my social medias and pulled some numbers and stuff, so I'll be putting together a presentation and sending that out to local businesses. And hope we could pull in a couple sponsors through that.
Phenomenal. Now, I do have to share this. It's I'm going to have actual copies of The Life of an Overthinker. It is kind of a short read, guys. It's 119 pages, but I'm selling those for $20 a piece because I'm going to. I've started a foundation, with this. It's called Tombstones for Veterans. And my father-in-law is yet to have a tombstone put on, so I'm raising funds from this particular book, and I'm selling them for $20 a piece. So if you're interested, you can message me or do any of that sort of stuff. I'll have some on hand here before long. Just a little bit, Sunday night, our show, it's kind of piggybacked off the coach show. Coach Doherty and I will be on with Fort Madison AD Jeff Lamb. And hopefully I get this Kade and Bronson dynamic eventually over here on Dog Pound Radio. But, guys, do you have any last shout-outs? You better shout out to your grandparents, Kade. I know they're watching.
Yeah, shout out to my grandparents. My Mimi actually helped. She was probably, could be considered our first sponsor. Yeah, there we go. That day that I went out chasing after presenting, she gave me some money, and that helped out a lot. So she she'll go down as our first sponsor for mid2west storm chasing.
Oh, 100%. She says the red light was God answering her prayers to keep you safe, and Coach Banks definitely needs to ride on a storm chase. And you know what? I think we're going to make that happen. We'll be able to conglomerate and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Bronson, any shout-outs, man?
I'll shout out my mom. Yeah, she's always been patient with this whole thing, so I've used her car plenty of times, but, we've tried to stay away from the hell when we take out my mom's car, so.
Oh, man.
Got to shout her out. She's always provided, some transportation or, she's always has my back, so, yeah.
Absolutely. For everybody within the Dog Pound Radio, we're going to call it a night, and join us Sunday night. And keep pace, folks. We're rolling here, and follow mid2west outdoors and donate. We're out of here.